Now, all over YouTube, all over the news, what are you seeing? 2020 recession. They keep telling us that it's coming. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 ways to prepare for the next market crash. Whether it happens in 2020 or it happens in 2021 or 2022, even the most traditional of institutions, Jamie Dimon, the guy running the show over there, he said that every 7 to 10 years, you can expect a recession. So in this video, I'm going to give you 5 things that I'm doing to prepare. So not only can you survive it, but you can actually end up maybe even doubling your net worth, which is very exciting if you follow these 5 steps. Additionally, I'm going to give you my predictions on the market crash when we might see it. So this is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com, and you're tuning in to the I Love Prosperity show. If you are excited about the prospect of doubling your net worth, make sure you hit the like button on the side right over there. And let's dive right into this. Okay, so the things to keep the eye on are obviously the fact that they keep lowering interest rates. So if the economy is as great as it is, why do they keep lowering interest rates? Because it's not as great as they are telling us that it is. The more they lower interest rates, the easier it is to get money. The easier it is for people to get money, the cheaper the money is, and the more money in circulation. As a result of that, the higher the inflation of the stock market and the higher inflated the housing market it is, which gives the illusion of wealth. So it is pretty obvious that the people running the scenes know some things are up, because if the economy was so good, why would you keep lowering interest rates? Because it's not so good, and they're very afraid that we might be heading into the next recession. And they're so stupid that instead of just allowing the recession to unfold, they try to keep preventing it. And the more you try to keep preventing it, the worse you're just going to make it in the long run. So I think if it happens in 2020, it's going to be right before the election. And if it doesn't happen in 2020, it's very important that you start preparing now. The great thing is that if the timeline is off, you're going to have a lot more time to prepare for these 5 steps that have the great possibility of doubling your net worth. So let's drop right into them. Step number 1 is very simple. Baby step number 1. Paying off all of your debt, starting with the highest interest rates first. You do not want to go into a market crash with a bunch of debt. We are probably in one of the most cash plush economies we've had in a very long time. You need to take advantage of this right now and get all your debt paid off for a lot of reasons. One is, first and foremost, you don't know if your income's going to be cut in half or you're going to lose it entirely. And what happens is what they say, an irrational over exuberance, where we are under the assumption that the economy's always going to just keep going up and keep going up and keep going up. And so people get negligent with paying off their debts. And what happens is those are the people that get their clock cleaned when we actually hit a market crash or a recession. So take a look at all of your debts, begin with the highest interest rates, and pay them off now. Pay them off while the interest rates are low, so there's so much money in the economy. Pay it off while people are still excited. You've got to take this first step before you can put yourself in a position to really take advantage of a market crash. Number 2, minimum 6-month emergency fund. I have well over a year. Dave Ramsey in his Baby Steps talks about 3 to 6 months, but during a market crash, you need 6 months for a lot of reasons. One is you can lose your job. 2 is if you're self-employed, the clients and customers that you're getting may not have the money to keep paying you. An ironic thing about the market crash is it could bring housing prices tremendously down, but rents a lot higher because people aren't buying. So it's ironic that rents can increase. So your rents could increase during it. You need to be prepared with a minimum of 6 months emergency available. So if you make or spend rather $2,000 a month on rent, and you have another $1,500 for everyday expenses, and then you've got your insurance and whatever, and you come out at spending $4,000 a month, that means you need 24 grand available. If you spend $300 on rent and $500 on food and $200 on miscellaneous, and your total expenses are $1,000, that means you need 6 grand available. This needs to happen as fast as possible. A lot of people will hear that and then they won't do anything. So while you're watching this right now, I want you to take one moment and I want you to actually pick a date by which you're going to have that 6 months worth of emergency fund. This needs to be in a checking account. I don't think this should be tied into the market. I am not sure for most people having it in straight cash under their mattress is a very good idea. So put it in a checking or a savings account and pick a date. Right now, while you're watching this, you say, well, today is this day. I'm going to have that by this day. Pick the date and get it dialed. Number 3, you should have 5% in gold and silver, and I'm not talking about ETFs. This is obviously very controversial. I have 10%, but I think that there's no excuse to not have 5. Every time during a market crash, the dollar and gold and silver are inverse. So a minimum of 5%, people say, well, I can't afford any gold. Silver's like $18 an ounce right now. Just get a little bit. You need at least a little tiny bit for a lot of reasons. You know, a lot of people say, well, recessions just happen and then they fix themselves out. But if you really are very objective and you look at the whole of the economy, it's in a lot worse shape than people think. So we could have a very prolonged recession. You never know. Having 5% of your money in something that is a hedge against the dollar, not to mention the fact that Russia and China and some of the other countries we have sanctions against, they know they cannot beat the United States in a war, in real warfare. So what they do is economic warfare. Why is it Russia and China are the biggest gold buyers in the world? Because they're preparing to destabilize the dollar over the long term. Why is it Russia and China are playing with cryptocurrency? It's not for fun. They're trying to see if it's possible that they can create a gold-backed currency that would allow them in the market to actually replace the dollar. Because they know they can't beat us in a war, so they're seeing if they can destabilize the economy and become the ruling power. Why? Because the reserve currency of the world is the United States dollar, right? But the United States dollar is really just a house of cards. It's not backed by anything. The debt is constantly increasing. So if Russia or China came out and they said, hey, by the way, everyone, we have a gold-backed currency here, yeah, we think it's going to be a little bit more valuable than this dollar that they are really running amok with. They're seeing if it's possible for them to do that. I'm not saying it is going to happen, but it's very connect the dots. They're trying to do it. So you don't know over the long term where the dollar is going to be in 50 years. 5% is super reasonable, and if you can't do that in gold and silver, at least make it 3, right? Like at least make it 3%. 4, start a cash-based savings account that is basically going to be your war chest. So after you've paid off all of your credit card debts and those types of things, you've started to get your emergency fund in order, then you can approach this. Now, this is going to be essentially your war chest. This is all of your liquid available that is specifically for you going out into the market, whether you're into stocks, whether you're into real estate, residential or commercial, whether you've been waiting for 9 million years to buy a home because the prices of homes are so high, or you're trying to buy a bunch of rental units, or you really love stocks. This is separate from your current investment strategy. Let's say that right now 5 to 10% or 15% of your money is going into your retirement. This is separate from that. This is additional. Now, you need to pick for yourself based off of your present income level what's available. So for me, about 15% of all my money coming in is literally just being stored so that I can go in and buy up as much as I possibly can once that happens. This is different than my actual current investment strategies that are actively in motion. So start to build your war chest I say do it in a checking account or a savings account, because you want to be able to access it in the immediate. Things that I'm personally really looking at are single family homes and commercial. I think that the stock market is incredibly inflated from a low interest world, and I think that we're going to have a huge bubble burst in that eventually. And so thirdly, that's something that I'm very looking at. So start to build your war chest. Number 5, this in my opinion is the one nobody ever talks about, and it's the most important. And you need to be right now, while the economy is good, you need to build an additional source of income or a leveraged business. You have to, for a lot of reasons. Number 1 is a lot of people lose their jobs when the market goes down. Number 2 is people that don't lose their jobs, a lot of times the companies need to cut back, so pays get cut. So if your pay gets cut, or you lose your job, or rents increase, or we have a environment where the cost of goods goes very high, you need additional income. The richest people in the world are never dependent on one income source, especially when when you see all the mainstream media starting to talk about recession. These are the people that are trying to prop the economy up as long as they can. And when they're talking about it, give me a break, you know it's coming eventually. Whether it's 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, it's coming. We're long overdue for it. And the only reason it hasn't happened is because they keep trying to slash rates more and more. So this is very important. Now, the thing that I think is most significant to look at is this in an ideal world should not be another job. So that doesn't mean, let's say you make $15 an hour. That doesn't mean you go get another job for $15 an hour. If you need to do that, then do it. Because the goal is, especially if you don't have the surplus income available to start saving for future investments when the market's down, to pay off your debts, and to build your emergency fund, then sure, go get a job, whether it's drive Uber or work a few extra hours at a grocery store. Do whatever you got to do to start build it. But when we're really talking about building a side income or an additional income, ideally we want this to be leveraged. So if your idea is, okay, cool, I'm going to clean houses, right? Or you say, okay, I'm going to do lawn work, and I think there's a good opportunity at $20 an hour for that. So what we need to do is put our business hats on and say, how can I leverage this? So if, for instance, it was house cleaning, I'm just saying this example to make the most everyday example I can come up with. Insert anything that you want there, from consulting to website building to design to photography to video editing to anything that you might do. But we want to insert leverage. And so then it goes, okay, if my idea is to clean houses for $20 an hour, And that's my idea for side business. In an ideal world, I can make an extra $500 a month or $300 a month. Then you go, okay, is it possible that I can hire someone else that can work with me? And let's say it costs, let's say that you charge $20 an hour. Can you get someone else that will work, that needs a job, that will work for $10 an hour? All of a sudden, you can double the amount of houses that you do. You move from worker to leveraged business owner. And then your job is what? To get more sales. In this instance, it would be houses. All of a sudden, you're at a more scalable position. You can do the same with gardening work. You can do the same with website building. Instead of you sitting around charging $1,000 for the websites, can you get someone else that can help build and you do the master design and pull the clients in? Then all of a sudden your job goes to get more sales, get more clients. You can leverage Upwork, you can leverage Fiverr, anything you got to do to get an affordable employees or workers that can fulfill this objective that gives you scale. The reason that this is important is because if you just look at side hustle, which is what everyone says, like, oh, go out and sell stuff or go out and rake leaves. Fine, do that in the short term, but unless you're really looking at a 1 to 3 year vision for it, what happens is it's not scalable. What we want, if you're going to invest time into building a side business, what you want is something that might have the potential to rival your full-time income or beat it entirely. So if you were doing websites and you could get other people to start building them, all of a sudden you go to the manager role, or you go to the overarching design and vision role, and you have other people working on the sites and you oversee it. All of a sudden, instead of you getting one website done in a month, you get 3 websites done in a month. You pay out, you can use Upwork to get people cheaper, Fiverr to get people cheaper, maybe you got a friend that's looking for extra work. You can do this with anything, any specific value, product, or service to the marketplace, you can insert leverage. This is what you need to be looking at, because a lot of times there are businesses that very much take off when the market crashes. That might be yours. Even if it wasn't, you can prepare right now instead of going, well, I'll work for $15 an hour on the side. I have 10 hours available a week. That's $150 a week. That'll come out to about $500 a month. I could do that for the next 12 months and I'll have an extra X amount saved. That'll pay off all my debts. Great. But what happens if instead you inserted leverage and in 6 months, that income source doubled and you worked less because you weren't the one fulfilling all of the services to the customers or the clients? So what I invite you to do is pull out a piece of paper and write at the top of the paper, possible additional income sources, or multiple income sources. Draw a line and come up with anything you could think. Some ideas might suck, some won't suck. Just put them all down. You might be like, okay, well, I have a skill with websites. Maybe I could start approaching small businesses. I do this, I do this, I do this, I can do this, I can do, and put them all down. And then try to come up with 10. Once you come up with 10 of them, go back through and cross out all the ones that you think are less realistic and that you can't eventually insert leverage into. The ones that seem like they have the most potential for leverage and scalability are the ones to immediately pursue, whatever they might be. This can be the thing that changes your life entirely, grows your income to new exponential levels, and even increases your hours worked. So this is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com. If you follow all of these 5 steps, not only are you going to be able to move through the coming economic shifts with ease, grace, and peace, but you can actually have a positive step forward in your life. You can actually grow your net worth. You can actually, if you prepare right now and you follow these things and you do all those 4 steps plus the final 5th and start to have additional money available, you can start buying things up. Not only if you lose your job or the market goes down, you're going to be totally set. You're going to have money available to buy your dream home. You're going to have money available to buy your first investment properties. You're going to have money available to buy up the market. You're going to have so much more opportunities. This is something to be excited about, not afraid about. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to spark fear around this subject. This is exciting for a lot of reasons. One, because this is a great opportunity to grow your net worth. Two, the sense of urgency can get you to get out of all of your debt and finally make positive momentum in your financial life moving forward. Last but not least, this is very important. This is the most important part, I think. Do not allow other people's ideas to insert into your mind. One time I saw a bumper sticker that says there is a recession happening and I will not participate. This is very important. Use this phrase, that's not part of my belief system. So people are going to go, yeah, but you're screwed, and yeah, but this is a bad idea. And you say, that's not part of my belief system. My belief system is one of prosperity, opportunity. I'm going to double my net worth right now. All of these great things. So I always say brainwash yourself before the world brainwashes you. Brainwash yourself for prosperity. So I created a success hypnosis that I use to just start training my brain for prosperity, even in the face of all of this economic fear and all these things. And it's free. It's right there down below. It's iloveprosperity.com right there down below. About 600,000 people from all over the world have used it from my other channel. Every day I get these amazing stories of people just like finally being able to sink into their head that it's possible for them to truly grow their net worth, their income, and their freedom in life. And that can be you. It's time to build your own mind, your own beliefs, and your own thoughts about what's really possible for your financial life. So it's right there down below, iloveprosperity.com, right there down below in the description, in the comments. If you haven't yet, hit the like button on the side, right over there, the good old like button. Hit the subscribe, the bell notification right over there. Bell notification is what notifies you for new videos. Even if you're already subscribed, double check.